Hi U4, welcome to your maths lesson for 3D shapes for today. So the first concept that we're going to be covering today is cross sections. And a cross section is pretty well when you cut a shape in half. What we're wondering is what shape you will see. So I'm going to give you an example of that because probably none of that was very clear. So let me draw onto the rectangular prism that I have here in front of you and show you where we might cut that to get a cross section. So I would cut along there, along here. So imagine it's almost like a loaf of bread that we are slicing down there and then along there. So if we were to cut that orange line all the way through and break the 3D shape apart, what shape would we end up with? That's a cross section. So in this case, we would end up with a rectangle, which is the same as both ends of the rectangular prism. So let's have a look and see what that might look like. And so that's it there, all right? And it should be exactly the same size as that rectangle at either end. Now let's have a look at a pyramid and see if we can figure out what shape we might be left with if we get a cross section of this square base pyramid. So once again, I'm going to show you where I'll cut it. So I would cut it along here, here, here. So I'm basically cutting the top of it. So just cut it like that and then open it up. What shape would I have here and here? So the way that we can tell that very easily is by following that base shape all the way up, because that'll stay the same shape all the way up. However, it gets smaller and smaller as it gets towards the tip. So depending on whereabouts in the pyramid we cut that shape will tell us how big that base shape will be. So in this case, the base shape is a square. So if we cut the pyramid all the way down here, obviously the square would be much bigger than where we did cut it, which was up a bit higher. So we would end up with a smaller square shape when we broke the shape in half. So now we're going to have a look at a couple more 3D shapes. And I want you now in your maths book to see if you can sketch what you think it might look like when we cut these shapes open. So the first one is a cube. And let's say that we cut the cube just here. So we cut it directly in half like this. What shape would we end up with when we broke it the top from the bottom? What shape would we end up here on either side? And the same with this triangular prism. If we cut it like this, once again, let's pretend it's a triangular loaf of bread and we cut it like that and broke it apart, what shape would we end up with? And that's called our cross section. So for the triangular prism, the shape that we would end up with looks like that. And that would be the same size triangle the whole way through, no matter where we cut that shape. If we cut it that way, it would not matter. It should end up with triangle exactly like that as long as we've cut it straight. And let's have a look at the cube. If we cut the cube like that, once again, we should end up with a perfect square if it is a cube and we've cut the shape straight. The cross section would be a perfect square shape.